Before I take your questions, I just want to say that there's no monopoly on good ideas, and we welcome input from everybody, whether you're in the chamber or outside, whether you're an advocate or whether you're just a consumer or someone looking for housing. Please come forward, tell us what we can do, and we'll listen. We'll keep an open mind, as I do on every piece of legislation. I just also want to call out, there's another commission working as well, the Land Use Commission. They're working very hard. They have some, it's a little bit more complicated for them to produce legislation. It's a very diverse group. I want to thank them. Their work will continue also. We're going to continue that commission for another year. They have some more radical ideas on what to do, and they're working on them. They're trying to flush those details out, bring in the stakeholders. But we need our cities and towns, our planners, our planning boards, our housing authorities to step up, because this problem is not going to be solved from the top down. It's going to be solved from the bottom up. We're going to do our part to make it affordable, to fund the programs, but we want accountability on the money. We want to make sure it gets spent. I saw Lyanna Kazzar come in here. She was the author of a program for Pay for Success. We passed it in July. It hasn't started yet. That needs to get going. It's a program for homelessness. So I commend her for her continued efforts to make that a reality. And we're going to continue to work with anybody and everybody who comes forward. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Kathy Gregg, I knew you'd have one.
Well, it really is bouncing off one of the last things you said, which was they have the land use task force has a lot more radical ideas.
Well, I'll let them speak for themselves. They're looking at ways of possibly combining planning boards, zoning boards, making unified development. That's already existing in the law right now, but it's what I would say, permissive. It's not mandatory. That's just one idea that they're looking at. Maybe we can streamline the process. Maybe we can make the same application for every city and town. Instead of having 39 different city and town applications, we have one application for a zoning board hearing that could be the same application for a planning board hearing, that could be the same application for a zone change, that could be the same application in all 39 cities and towns. Those are just two ideas that they're looking at and they're exploring. Tom Della, who heads that, is the planner from Central Falls and Johnston. He's a very talented, bright, working, committed person, and the whole host of people on that committee, from the advocates, the developers, from the government agencies, they're looking at that. But that's another press conference at another day at another time, maybe not even this session. But they're working. The point I want to make is there's a lot of people who it touches, who care about this, who are working so passionately, all as volunteers. No one's getting paid. If I had to pay people, it's several $1,000 an hour for the work that we're going, the talent we have. People are coming forward to address this problem. This is critical mass. We need to solve this problem now. And then I'll go to Ed. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. When I read the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns testimony, one of the things they said is, great, you've all these wonderful ideas. Are you going to give us any municipal incentives, payments? Are you going to raise pilot to incorporate them making room, maybe by accepting accessory dwellings, not for family members? All those things. Is there anything that this group is committed or you're committed to doing, giving them additional money if they start going down?
Sure. We're open to it. I'm listening to ideas. The League of Cities and Towns has a new executive director, Ernie Almonte. He doesn't start for a while, but I have a good relationship with him. I'm willing to listen. I'd rather do the carrot and stick approach. Let them approve some affordable housing. Let them approve some more units, and then we'll talk about some money to help that. Whether it's infrastructure improvement, whether it's a water line or a sewer line, whether it's some other funding. But cities and towns do pretty well. We have the car tax phase out we're working on. We give a lot of city and town aid. They need to step up. There's a law, they have to have 10% of their housing stock affordable housing. Only about 7 communities meet that goal right now.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask about. With just 6 communities meeting that requirement, is this legislation going to change that?
This package behind you, probably not. I think that's coming for another day and another set of legislation. I think this helps make housing affordable, reduces the barriers and the hurdles, and expedites the timetable, and makes it a priority. We've given, since I've been speaking, the last budget, And then let's not forget, 60 days ago, it might sound like a long time, 60 days ago, General Assembly, on the first day of the session, authorized $119 million. There was a big component of money for affordable housing, on top of the Housing Production Fund of $25 million, on top of the, I look at my friend David Salvo, he doesn't like it, the transfer tax that we have to create a revenue stream, on top of the $6 million in the Pay for Success program. So we've committed the funds. The funds are there. We need them to be utilized, and we need to hold the people accountable to see what kind of results.
Yeah, you talk about carrot and stick, is there any stick in the proposal?
It's coming. I think it's important, first of all, to incentivize people to do the right thing, and then we'll talk about that. And that's part of what the land use is doing, and that's a discussion that we need to have, which a much broader audience and in a much longer period of time.
Speaker, not to ask you to rank the 11 bills in order of importance, but are there any among them that you think are must do this session that you'd like to see get back?
They all are important, every one of them, but I think one of the most important one is to raise the housing secretary to a cabinet level and make him maybe the permanent chair of Rhode Island Housing.
Why is that?
Because we need to hold somebody accountable. We have housing in silos, Steve. We have great housing, public housing, private housing, nonprofit housing, cities and towns, all in different silos. We need somebody at the top to answer the questions, tell us what's working, be held accountable for the money, and how we can chart a course going forward, whether it's a policy initiative or shifting money from one affordable housing bucket to another. The problem is immediate, and we need to find out what solutions will solve the immediate problems. And I think you have to have somebody of that stature in government and that close to the governor to be able to get that done. And then to come to oversight or finance or municipal government and explain and answer questions. It's great to call this person, that person, but one person should be in charge, and that should be the housing czar. That was what the initial legislation was last year. I want to elevate that to the highest possible level in state government this year. Thank you. If there are no other questions, I'm sorry, go ahead, Steve. Yes, but he reports to Commerce Secretary. And I think he kind of gets lost in Commerce with all the other very important duties of the Commerce Secretary. I think this needs to be someone directly accountable to the governor and to the voters, ultimately.
This is doable, all of these this session?
I'm the eternal optimist. I think everything's doable.